In this lesson, Coach Isaac and I are going to do an example of how to set up a counterattack. Now, this is an action that we usually do as an impulse. Those of us who've been trained with it, we have control over the action, so we can actually do some setup and some planning. But for the rest, it's an untrained action that we just kind of rely on instinctually, and this makes it more of a gamble. So hopefully in this lesson we're going to better understand how to set up a counterattack so we can improve its success rate and make it a lot more reliable. Before we get into the demonstration, we're going to touch base on three important factors we need to be aware of to set up a counterattack. The first one is distance. Realistically speaking, if Isaac's on guard, we have a fair bit of separation between our target areas, or we have a little overlap in our blade. This is not an advantageous place to make a counterattack. Neither one of us can really hit each other without a fair bit of force reduction in distance, so not a great thing. When you make a counterattack, you want a fair bit of overlap in your blade so that when it comes time to hitting the target, it's a lot easier. This also means it's a lot more risky because your opponent can also hit you. But the first thing is distance. Second thing you need to set up your counterattack is timing. If you don't control the distance and you don't control the timing, you're realistically not going to be able to hit your opponent before they hit you. So when you have timing, you have to be prepared to pull the trigger and hit the target. So if I have distance, here I am, I have distance, I can hit the target without really moving. So now I need timing, so if Isaac's about to step forward, I can hit and displace. That's very important. So when you see your opponent is about to start, you've already pulled the trigger. So you need timing. Third thing we need is observation. You don't want to set up a counterattack if your opponent is very much ready to pull the trigger, if they're going to finish and hit you. It's not in your favor. So you want to look for patterns in your opponent's behavior. If they're more hesitant, if they like to do a lot of preparations before they attack, these are things you can only recognize through observing what your opponent is doing. When you put these three things together, your counterattack will be a lot more effective. So those three things are distance, timing, and observation. If you have those three, your counterattack will be a lot more effective. So for our first demonstration, Isaac is going to be doing a displacing counterattack. I'm going to be pushing as the attacker. He's going to be making the counterattack. What you're going to see in his footwork, though, is that he's going to play a fair bit with distance. He wants me to get close enough so he can make the hit. That means he's going to do a lot more controlled small footwork, whereas I'm going to be more insistent on setting up my attack, so I'll be doing preparations. So we're on guard, we have some separation of the blade, so neither one of us can really hit. I'm going to be moving forward, and he's going to be a little bit more provocative, he's keeping it close, and when he sees I'm making too many preparations, he can immediately make his counterattack and hit me in the middle of my plan. The reason why that's effective is while I'm advancing, we'll do that one more time, I'm busy trying to set the distance for my attack. He's stepping in and out, so he's being very disruptive, but his footwork is a lot higher than mine, which means he can go pull the trigger a lot sooner than I can because he is actually setting the distance, not me. In this example, Isaac is going to be doing a stop hit, so he's going to again displace his target, but by making a hit and then immediately retreating. So again, same thing, pay attention to his footwork as it compares to mine. I'm on guard, we have some distance, but again, not very easy to hit, not safe for the counterattack, so I'm moving forward, I'm doing my preparation, he's a lot tighter, and there's his stop hit, and he immediately retreats. You'll also see some people who make that hit and then they completely run away. Both these actions are fine. So remember, if you're fencing someone who's particularly tall, a full retreat back might not be effective, so when you make that hit, running away is the best option. But if you have a fair bit of height parity, that's not a big issue. But again, you're looking at the setup. If I'm moving forward, I'm preparing. I haven't started. He's looking for that. He has a lot of controlled footwork. He's keeping it small. He's being a little bit more pushy with it. He's changing distance, so it's hard for me to focus on what the distance is, if it's the right time for me to go or not. And through that confusion, he's able to execute the counterattack and hit me.